Hi, thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Vernae Taylor, performing artist, author, entrepreneur, speaker, and mentor. And that's a good question. How long have I been acting? I have been acting professionally since 2005. My first show was at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank as Glinda the Good Witch in The Wiz. So, what made me get into acting? It's funny that I even ended up here in acting, if that's even a thing. I have always been a singer. I've been singing alongside my brother for several years. He's actually 6 years my senior, and I watched him on stage for as long as I can remember. And he did that all throughout school and high school. For me, I kind of stumbled into acting just by default through college at Rutgers University in New Brunswick, where I happened to be friends and socialize with a lot of other artists, and I either had the particular look that they were going for or the fact that I could sing in the musical, and it was just a nice perfect mix, and so it happened by default. I can't say that I truly started taking acting seriously until way after that. So, but that's how I got into acting. So, as I mentioned, as far as singing, I have been singing. No lie, I have the newspaper clippings. I've been singing since the age of 2, according to my family. I have been performing since the age of 5. We have the newspaper clipping. It was my first talent show with my brother. Shout out to my brother, Zia Taylor. And he used to dress me. We used to choreograph the dances to all of the latest songs, and it was really, really, really hip for that time, and especially at that age. Like, I'm in talent shows, I'm a star. So how is my process different when it comes to singing and acting? Okay, so yeah, absolutely. There has to be a different process. I think for me, singing was always a natural thing. Singing is something I always loved to do. It didn't matter what I was doing, where I was. If I felt it, it could be a jingle on a commercial. It could just be me talking amongst friends and somebody says something that like makes me think of a sound or makes me think of music, and then I all of a sudden turn it into a song. So that's always natural. Acting is something that I feel like can be very technical, and acting is something I had to really intentionally pursue, in terms of training, in terms of immersing myself in the artistry, being around other people that can draw different emotions out of me is what really made acting very much different from anything that I've done before. So, studio versus stage, you know, it's funny that you asked that because there are a lot of artists that are not the best live and they actually prefer the studio. I'm the complete opposite. In the studio, I always found that to be very intimidating. You're in an enclosed space, it's very intimate. A lot of times you have your producer, your engineer on the other side of that wall or that mirror, or that glass, and they're watching you. It's like all these eyes are on you, but they're so close that it almost makes you feel intimidated and uncomfortable. Whereas on stage, being on stage under the lights, you look out into the audience and all you see is black, right? And there's hundreds and hundreds of people out there, but you don't necessarily have to see them. You don't have to identify them. You don't necessarily see their facial expressions, and you're not necessarily as concerned because there's a bit of a distance between you and the audience. So it's not as intimidating. So for me, I would find that the intimate space is a little bit harder and more challenging than being on the stage. So that's just me. So that's the difference in those two, I guess you could say, disciplines and those two preparations. Who are my influences? I have so many. I will say that forever and ever and still until my dying days, I will always love and put Whitney Houston at the top of my list. And I would say that is one of my greatest regrets, that I've never had a chance to see her in concert, because I absolutely adore her, and her voice is unmatched, and everything about her. She was just, the elegance, the radiance, her smile. She just seemed to just be down home, beautiful, but at the same time very relatable, very authentic in who she was for those that really knew her. And so she has always been one of my greatest influences. I also have to say, and I'm thinking about the people that I listen to coming up. I listen to Mariah Carey, Anita Baker, Lauryn Hill. I would say if we come more into modern day, India Arie, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu. Some really, really, really amazing, beautiful female artists. From the acting standpoint, one of my favorite actors or actresses, however you like to say that, would be Angela Bassett. I absolutely love Angela Bassett, Diane Keaton, Sandra Bullock, Julia Roberts, Sanaa Lathan. I would say those are my favorite. Angela Bassett is definitely up there. And just all of these amazing, beautiful women, really amazing, beautiful Black actresses that are older. They're up there, and they are very seasoned, but they are stunning and in shape. Shout out to Taraji P. Henson and Viola Davis and Regina Hall, Regina King. Those are some of my acting influences. So, what is it like being a published author and a multimedia artist? It's amazing. It actually feels phenomenal. I don't know that I've actually really took it all in as of yet. It's something that I've always had on my list. People talk about bucket lists, but for me, as a child, I've always been a visionary. I've always wrote things down in my diary, in my journal, and I've always had goals. And one thing I've always wanted to do was be a published author. So I always said that I wanted to write my autobiography, and although I did not do the autobiography itself as of yet, Breakthrough, my first book as of last year, was definitely my entry point into authorship, and it definitely gave a glimpse into my story. So that felt very freeing, very liberating to be able to get that out there and to be my authentic self unapologetically, allowing others to do the same, right? And to walk in that same greatness and to walk in that same authenticity and freedom of self. So there's nothing like it. And to now be a 4-time author just a year later is absolutely unbelievable to me, actually. So it feels very good to have reached those accomplishments and goals, but to even far exceed the expectations that I had for everything that I have going on. So how do I shift so easily between the different genres, such as acting, writing, singing? It's funny that you say, how do I so easily shift? Because to me, yes, it is a bit of an easy shift. And the reason I say that is because all of those genres and disciplines and artistries and influences, they all make up who I am. And when I think about my mother and my mother, a phenomenal singer, a really strong alto, grew up in the church, would always sing to me, along with my father, who was into progressive jazz, my father that was into poetry and always wrote little extra verses in my cards that he would give me, and down to my mother being such a creative being and someone who actually would hand make cards for me, would write really beautiful things, to my brother being a huge influence for me, someone that kind of taught me everything that I know. I call him my modern day Paul Robinson. And yeah, it's just, I'm like the melting pot of all of those things because they just naturally came together at such a perfect time. And because I was nurtured from very young with these things, being birthed with some of these talents and then being able to, hone in on these talents and skills, has been pretty amazing. So yeah, it is definitely an easy shift. And I don't know, it's things that I do every day. Every day I write. Every day I'm singing something. Every day acting out something, or I'm a storyteller and I'm dramatic. So it's just very much naturally, organically who I am.